Welcome back to the show. This week we're going to be talking with Isvar Prashad. He's started $1 million plus fashion and handbag business. He's the founder and president of the Carter Bennett Group. He's done multiple startups and all kinds of things in the world of entrepreneurship. So welcome, Isvar. You talk about having delusional optimism in business, having grit and resilience. It reminds me of this movie, The Founder, where Ray
Right.
Kroc, the founder of McDonald's, he's on the road and he's selling these multi-mixer blenders and no one will buy
True. Oh
it,
my God, it's a great
right? It's
movie.
a great
Great
movie.
movie.
Check it out. And everywhere he goes, he's rejected. Everyone says no, and he keeps going. Even his wife doesn't believe in him. And eventually he finds kind of his first customer. I guess that's where we're going. How do you get to know your first customers? Because in the movie, and I think this is based on real life, he gets an outsized order of like 6 mixers or 8 mixers from a McDonald's, the first McDonald's in California, and he's wait, that's wrong, and he calls them up, and they say, no, 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 we need that, we have that much demand, and he knows right then and there that he's struck gold, and he drives out to the McDonald's, and then the whole story goes on from there. And then McDonald's, the empire is created, and you should watch the movie, but to know more. But it seemed like he found his first customers, and it was by accident. But like he was listening for it. He was tuned in. Like another person would have seen that and said, "Okay," and then ship the order. They wouldn't have taken the extra step to drive out there. See, so how do you know when you actually find your first customers? How do you tune into that magic, that McDonald's magic, the startup entrepreneurial
Yes.
magic?
So, we talk about entrepreneurship, and there's a lot of people who are entrepreneurs. They're in their basement trying to get rich, whatever they do. But part of entrepreneurship is along the way in the journey of taking the action, you're going to find your customer. But not only are you going to find your customer, people are going to start to give you feedback based on action you've taken. Like the entrepreneur is all about action. The entrepreneur, yeah, you think it through in your brain, but you ship right away. You get out there and you try to listen. And the only reason, if you bring up Ray Kroc, that he went on to buy them out and start McDonald's is that he was out in the world. He was actually executing on something. And that's the thing, but that fear gets in the way. You've got to take action, any action. Any action is better than zero action.
Mm.
Everything has to be moving forward so you can move to the left, move to the right. Maybe you need to stop, maybe you need to recalibrate, but nothing gets accomplished in your brain. And if you look at all entrepreneurs and you look at people who say they want to be entrepreneurs, what gets in the way is fear gets in the way of action. And that's the problem. You got to think fear is part of this. You got to move it out of the way. You can't avoid fear. Fear is part of our DNA. It's our makeup, but we've got to deal with the fear and say, hey, I'm going to be courageous and move forward. And that's why if you look at all biographies, and I read a lot of biographies from Sam Walton from Walmart to Andrew Carnegie, all of them have that same nature. They're out in action. They get disappointed. Of course, you get disappointed. Of course, people are going to tell you no because, again, if it was easy, like they say, everybody would do it. And this is not, we don't reward everybody. We only
Yeah.
reward a small section, a percentage of people who are willing to take these risks and go through fear. So, yeah, get out there and find your customer and see what they say.
This,
And
And I wonder, so okay, you just be brave, you try, but how do you? Okay, you get rejected, and you're thinking how you is it right idea, or maybe you should try again the same idea but with other people, with other company or circumstances. So I mean, how to validate your startup idea and see, oh, this is it. This is what I can go ahead and develop.
Yeah, you test, test, test. You're not going to win, but you're going to iterate. You're going to, we talked about MVPs, get a minimal viable product out there, try to put it in the market, get feedback from it. There's going to come a time where you're going to have to end it, right? And you're going to make that call. I've started businesses and ended it. And, in hindsight, maybe if I kept going, it would have, paid out differently. But I had to make decisions and I had to check in with myself and think, okay, is this really going to work? Have I given it all? Okay, well then I have to find something else. I have to pivot or iterate. So it's a balance between not giving up and at the same time, like not, selling out too quickly. And you got to listen to what you're selling out to, because if you really do believe in something and you've done your work and you're not getting the results yet, there's a great book, Think and Grow Rich, where he talks about 3 inches before gold, and it's this The story about this prospector who kept digging for gold, he ended up saying, "Listen, there's no gold here." He sold his rights to somebody else who found the gold 3 inches away from where he stopped.
Oh,
And the 3 inch rule is like, at what point do you say, "Well, there's no gold"? And I already did 3 inches 500 times
Yeah,
as
I
a
think it
side
was
story.
3 feet, not 3 inches. So
Okay, fine. Well, it's
still
metric.
close. It is close.
Metric. It's metric. So we're a little bit longer. So yeah, so you got to make that call. And and the other thing you talk about is nothing is personal. The problem with most of us, we take everything personally. When they reject our business and our idea, you think they're
they're
rejecting
rejecting
you.
you. Yeah.
You are not your business. You are not your startup. You are you. And you've got to have a detachment from you, from the product. And it's very important also, not just so you don't emotionally get charged. It's also important so you can make rational decisions. Sometimes when you're so attached and you have it like you're the business, and you have it with startup culture, where let's say you have a success, you went from zero to $1 million. A lot of founders have a problem letting go, not understanding that to get from 1 million to 10 requires potentially somebody different.
Delegation and
Yeah, you
yeah.
gotta be able to step back and say, "Hey, I've taken it this far." And some founders stay, like Mark Zuckerberg, he's there to the end, which is good for him. Some of them stay too long and their business crashes because they don't have the necessary skills. A founder's skill set is different from somebody who's in the expansion business. And then when you get to expansion and you want to go on an IPO and you want to leverage further, that's a different person. So you got to be able to be detached emotionally, but also like step aside and let your business move to the next levels. And it might not be you.
But
It's
when
not
you're making
startup
the
anymore if you need to develop. So it's like the beginning, it's like startup, but then it's like, okay, what is next? Next level.
I'm gonna,
Other
I'm gonna,
team.
I'm gonna say that's really important because we all did our MBA, and I would have never done my MBA first and started a business because a founder's mentality is not an MBA's mentality. An MBA's later. Once the business is started, MBAs can go in and codify everything and put systems in place potentially, or maybe not. But an entrepreneur who starts from 0 to 1 is a different person.
I love it. Any action is better than no action. That's a great quote.